And my God, Robin Wright is the most beautiful goddess ever to roam the earth. Well, one of them. And of course, she's in the movie with Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, who is also the most beautiful woman. Anyway, she was incredibly beautiful, the kindest, most wonderful. She said so many kind words to extras because it was freezing. And, oh my God, she like bent over backwards to be so sweet.
That was this week's guest, actress, improviser, model, Anna Cameron, talking about an experience she had with Robin Wright Penn on the hit Netflix series House of Cards. To hear about that and more, you got to stay tuned and listen to the whole interview. Now hit the bonus theme. Hey there, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. Now, this week's interview is really cool. So a while back, I interviewed Josh Flitter, who is a Jersey kid who played Ace Ventura Jr. Him and this week's guest, Anna Cameron, are in the same improv group, which I know right now they're not able to do it, but hopefully as soon as this is over, they can get back on that stage and make a lot of people laugh. So Anna was a ball of energy and a lot of fun to talk to. She talked about living in England. She had a really cool experience on the hit Fox show The Following. And she has a new movie that was supposed to actually come out last Friday called The Woman in the Window, starring Amy Adams and Julianne Moore and the amazing Gary Oldman. And of course, because of coronavirus, they delayed everything, but it looks like a really cool movie. And she had a great story about her audition for that and working with director Joe Wright. So without further ado, here is the amazing Anna Cameron.
So awesome. So thanks so much for taking the time.
Problem. I'm so excited you asked me to be here.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No, it's cool. Like I said, everybody has a story, and you have credits and things that you did. And you started out, so it's a lot more than I have. So that's good. That's so you know Josh from like the Pit? Is that where you know him from?
Yes, and we just had a show actually on Saturday for our team. Yeah, it was so much fun.
How long have you been doing improv?
I mean, I did it back in high school. I did it in college.
Oh, sweet.
But in New York just for the past 2 years.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So where does your story begin? Where did you grow up?
Maryland, mainly. I traveled as a kid. We lived in the UK for a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My dad was in the Navy, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. Did you pick up an accent when you were there?
I did. So I came back, and one of the first things I did was I went to my neighbor's house to give her brownies because I hadn't seen her. It was almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And, I guess I was asking in an accent. She was so shocked. It was so cute because, I was probably 8 years old.
Yeah. And you're young. That's when you're like developing all that.
Yeah. I was right at that age. My little brother he was so precious. He had the cutest. He was just, I guess, in kindergarten when we got there. Oh my gosh. He had the cutest accent, and he was calling. I remember he got back to school and he asked the teacher for a rubber because in the UK that means eraser, and he got in trouble. Yeah.
There's a bunch of those words. I remember there's some other ones that transfer. Like I think a vacuum. Is that one? Is something different? I forget.
Vacuum. I mean, the ones I remember because I still occasionally, I think because I must have learned them over there or said them for the first real times, but schedule I sometimes say, yeah. And like strawberries. I've said basil.
Basil, yeah.
Yes. And I get so teased by my family for it. But I don't think about it. I'm just like, oh, what's on the schedule today? Damn it.
No, that's awesome. How did they take having an American? Were you like, was there other ones there or?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. So we ended up going to this British school because my parents didn't want us to be in an Americanized kind of military school.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful. And I have lifelong friends who I still talk to all the time, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to learn other cultures, especially at a young age. And then they can ask you about, hey, what's it really like?
Yeah, it was so sweet. And we just made such fast friends, and we learned so much about cooking, little things that people did. We just got into their homes, and it was so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, learning cultures is awesome. Me and my wife lived out in Oregon for a few years, and we drove across the country. So we did like 2 different treks each time, middle of the country and then the southern route. And even just doing that, like even spending a night in a different city, it's like,
Yeah.
it's wild how really different this country is.
I know the US is so enormous, and I forget so often. I mean, all of us do, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's wild. The cultures within our own country are just bananas.
I know. In the South, there's some places that are just like just super rough, and like you wouldn't think you're like, growing up. I'm from New Jersey, so
Oh, right.
and you're Maryland, so it's
Yeah,
really
Maryland.
kind of pretty much the same
Very
thing,
similar.
like it's a little more accelerated, like speed wise, and the way things move. It's like go, go, go. And then even living in Portland, everything was like slow,
Yeah.
patient.
I've always wanted to go to Oregon.
Yeah, it was cool. We had really appreciate it. People are super nice.
Mm.
It seems like they're getting paid to be nice.
Oh, wow.
Probably like Canadians, but no, it was real fun. But again, that's so cool. You're able to live in another country for a few years.
Yeah. And we did so much traveling while we were there that it started this bug in me. So now I'm always wanting to travel. I try to go somewhere every year
That's
if
awesome.
I can.
Hey, sometimes those are some fun ways to travel.
Oh my
When you're
gosh.
able to like do the things that are maybe in some people's senses inexpensive. Those are some of the realest ones, not touristy.
Yeah. My husband and I, we did a trip last year to New Zealand, and we just
So-
rented this van. My friends over there, I studied over there as well
Oh,
in
cool.
college. Yeah. So my friend's dad, he was like, I have a van. I took out the back. I put a bed in. It's really cheap. And it was so amazing. We just drove all around the South Island, and oh my gosh, basically camped in this van. It was the best. It was the best trip. Yeah.
Were you ever nervous of like breaking down? Or like being in the middle of nowhere?
No, I mean, it's such a small country.
No, I know that's
No.
true.
Yeah. And also, I love gadgets and things. And I mean, I can change a tire. So that I was excited about. Nothing happens, luckily.
Well, that's
but-
good. That's good that you didn't have to. We went to Iceland, and I was like, I had this fear of like renting a car and like going around like the Golden Circle that they have there and like staying in different
was that?
places.
I
It
heard
was
it's
cool.
so expensive.
Well, some stuff there is like right now. That's how they're getting their economy was like kind of like crashed like 5-6 years ago. So like pumping people in. Like we went for a honeymoon. It must have been I think like $1,400 for like our flight and hotel for 5 days. But
Oh.
there it was a little expensive. But no, it was cool. Like some of the stuff they like seeing the glaciers.
Oh, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks sort of like New Zealand to me. So,
That's
I'd
cool
love
that you
to
went to New Zealand. Sounds awesome. My wife's cousin lives out there.
which
So that'd
part?
be sweet. I don't know. That's a good
Ah.
question.
You should go. I swear, just go. I think this is going to be my 4th time back.
Oh, sweet.
I'm going to go again this year. My parents finally want to go. They're like, all right, we're going to go see it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, so like tour us around.
Fun. What'd you study out there when you were going over there?
Drama therapy. So I was studying. Yeah, I have a weird story. I mainly studied theater. I was always performing. I was in ballet and a conservatory for about 16 years. When I got injured, and then because of my injury, I got into theater, but I also got into medicine. And my sister is a doctor now, and my dad used to want to be a doctor. So, and gosh, my grandfather we have doctors in the family. So I was kind of pushed that way, and I love medicine. I was really into therapy and psychology. So in college, I studied theater, bio, and psych. And I ended up having to combine my major because I couldn't go abroad and do all my classes. So I made up my own major to study basically drama therapy. I know. The name of it was, I couldn't call it psychodrama. I couldn't call it drama therapy.
So you were able to, how did you do this? You had to like present it to like the
Yes.
dean? Like,
Yes.
this is a chart. This is what I want to call this. That's pretty neat.
I base it. So NYU has a graduate program for drama therapy. And in high school, one of my teachers, Ms. Schnorr, Kathy Schnorr, is the most incredible woman ever. She was the theater instructor at the school, and she knew drama therapy. Her partner who taught with us, Harry, his wife, it's a crazy story. She's a director of a mental hospital that was right near the school. So I started working in the mental hospital. She taught me drama therapy. She got me interested in how drama can heal people. And in New Zealand and Australasia and Israel, which is cool, it's huge over there.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, psychodrama is the thing, and everyone does it, and it's not just for like sick people, quote unquote. So that was really amazing. So I went over there to study that and came back here, started working in an emergency room, trying to go through the route, started studying for MCATs when I got scouted. Like, I was like nursing by night and theatering. Yeah, it was crazy.
So how did you get scouted? Like you were in a play and somebody said, "Hey, come here."
Yeah, so I was in Spring Awakening, and I was playing the part of Venla, and I was sending out headshots and resumes just because. And I saw this ad for a scout manager, and they said, "Hey, if you send us your stuff, if we like you, we'll scout." And I guess they liked me. So at that point, I had started working in the hospital and randomly was doing some like just investigation discovery stuff. Oh my God, it was so silly. But that's when I was scouted. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what year was that about?
Gosh, that was like 2014, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff did you do on that?
Oh, you should see it. There's an episode called Who the Bleep Did I Marry, where I had fire red hair and I was pregnant almost the whole show apparently this woman had like 8 children. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
And then a Weather Channel show where I reenacted a woman who got picked up by a phantom truck driver.
What?
Yeah.
That's so wild. Do you get like enthralled in it? Like, do you like those shows?
Oh, I love anything I can do involved in the industry. It's just because it's make believe, and you just get to play make believe. That's your job.
Yeah.
And make it realistic. I mean, there's definitely a part of you that you have to find for each part, which can be really difficult. Obviously, if you have a tough role that's not anything like you.
Yeah.
In this case, though, it's like I was just being myself. Except for the pregnancy stuff, I had to work on that.
Yeah.
Being pregnant nonstop, it was very interesting.
That's so cool. I didn't know the Weather Channel had shows like that.
It's called, oh no, I don't remember. But it's a Weather Channel show. And it's feisty, and it's recreations of stories that involved weather patterns.
It was raining that day when she was picked up.
This day, it was a very hot day in Florida on highway. It was like Highway 99 or some special haunted highway.
It's interesting, but now everybody has those shows now.
Oh, yeah.
Making a Murderer, everybody.
There's a billion of them.
I know, I love them.
Yeah. They're so much fun.
Some can be like dragged, like you're like, okay, you could have covered that in an hour, and it's like 4 1-hour specials, but no, I love watching that stuff. So is there anybody like when you were growing up, like, so how did you want to like be in theater? Is that something that somebody pushed you towards, or doing the ballet? You're like, hey, I should try that too.
No, I don't know. I was that girl in Girl Scouts that I just wanted to be like, anytime when there was like a talent show or whatever, I always dressed up to the nines. I remember one specific time I was Michael Jackson, and I learned the whole Thriller dance. And, I was probably 9 years old or something. My mom was like, my God, what is wrong with this girl? But my outlet at that time was ballet until I got injured. I injured my back. So I was doing point, and we were at that age where people were going out and being scouted for ballet, going to ABT, Washington Ballet. And I could sing. So someone said, hey, why don't you try singing? And maybe just try out for the musical. You can sing, you can dance. I said, all right. Yeah. And that's how that started. It was awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's so much more fun than ballet.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I love ballet, but
Yeah, I would think so. Because ballet, how many people are usually, well, I guess there's solos in ballet, but in some cases with like theater, you're like, everybody's looking at you. There's a spotlight on you.
yeah. And I just feel ballet in particular can be a bit stuffy. It's hard because a lot of the time while you're dancing in point shoes, it's so extreme and you're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you've been trained to, you're so fit if you're doing that. But in ballet, you're always in some small amount of pain and you're always fighting that pain and trying to make yourself look graceful. It's not necessarily having fun.
Yeah.
It's just looking graceful and almost unattainable on the floor. And for theater, you can just, there's so many emotions you can live in. And yeah, and I feel, at least for me, theater changes people more. You have so much more of a connection with the audience. That's not true of all dance, but
yeah,
when I was dancing, that's how I felt, at least.
Hey, at least you're honest.
Yeah. I love it, though. I love to watch it.
Yeah. So what was your first, like, I on IMDb, they have obviously like TV and film work, but what was your first, was it like a commercial job that you had that was first? Or like, was it one of the TV or movies?
Okay. Well, theater-wise, I mean, I was doing high school shows, and the first show was Into the Woods, and I played Little Red. But when I started getting really into the industry after it was even before I guess I was scouted. I think it was the Investigation Discovery show.
Oh, okay.
It was the first, like, legit
Yeah.
TV. Yeah, I think that was it.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, was it like the commercials, or was it like when you were on The Following, which I love? That's an awesome show.
Oh, The Following is actually when I got to New York, The Following was my first thing.
So that's when you officially moved to New York?
Yeah, so when I got scouted, I was offered, we had to do this showcase, and I met a bunch of agents and some casting directors. And at the end of the showcase, they all offered me a contract, which was amazing. And I could not believe it, because this whole time I was thinking, oh, I'll just be a therapist. I'll be a drama therapist. I'll make drama therapy a thing here. And I said, oh my God, I might actually have a shot. And I met with the agent that I ended up choosing, Jeff Gill from JGD. And he said, yeah, just move to New York. You have to just move to New York. And I said, roger that.
Yeah.
Dropped everything. I think I did talk to the doctors at the hospital, and they said, are you kidding me? They're like, thank God, get out of here. Because I had been so, apparently, I didn't notice, but when I started, I was so chipper and happy. And by that point, I was getting pretty depressed because, I'd witnessed people dying and children with a horrible diagnosis and really fascinating things too, like Steven Johnson syndrome. But anyway, they said, just go. Like, oh my God, this is who you are. And yeah, I dropped everything, left with a friend who I met through the Scouts, Miranda. She's amazing. Yeah. And my first audition was for Supergirl, for the role of Supergirl.
No way.
Yeah. And I had no idea what I was doing, because I don't even think I was living there yet. I was looking to sublet, and I was just going back and forth to New York. Oh, that was a big deal. I think that's ABC, right?
I think it was, was it CW first, or was it ABC first and then CW, or
ABC, CW?
Vice versa? But so you never auditioned before. So did you try to look it up online, like what to look for when you go in there?
No, I just approached it. My agent just said, he was like, just do your thing. But what I didn't know, and I know now, is you should dress in a way in a color that you look good in. And if the character, especially for commercials, is so important. But if the commercial has specific colors, like if it's Colgate, you want to go for that Colgate red or that Colgate blue. Not so much blue, because sometimes they have a blue background. But for the role of Supergirl, it would have been better if I had worn a form-fitting red top maybe and just a neutral look. But instead I wore a pink big sweater, like cable knit sweater, because it was wintertime. And I didn't even think about it. I was just, now I know. And I was so nervous.
I bet.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of people there? Is it like it is in like the movies, like the waiting room, and then they call people in, or no?
Usually, especially for commercials, it's that way. But in this case, and most of my legit work, there aren't many, and it's very quiet. I've auditioned for SVU, and at the callback, there were like 80 people. I mean, not really, maybe 12.
Yeah.
Behind the tables. I think there were 2 rows of people because they were just in the finals callbacks. That was crazy.
That's a lot of people.
It was a lot. And it was just myself and another girl. And it was so funny because we both got there and we looked at each other. We looked exactly the same, except she was wearing a very sexy dress that was cropped and skin tight. And I was wearing a really sweet Midwestern, very covered outfit because the character is Midwestern, but it's for the Bachelorette episode. And we looked at each other and we were like, oh no, I should have worn that. And she ended up getting it, which she was amazing. But it was just so funny that those things, it just makes you feel different too in the audition. It makes you act a little differently.
Yeah, you should have channeled your Michael Jackson and just shown up dressed like Supergirl.
I should have. What was I thinking? Yeah, that was crazy.
So how did the following come about?
So that was a similar thing. My agent gave me the casting. I went in. It was the quickest casting I've ever done because I basically went in there like, okay, we just need you to improvise. All you have to do is say, hey, professor. It's like, okay. That's all I did. So I decided to approach it in a way, I think the description said an attractive young, like, they usually say very sexual things, but they're like sexy, young, hot, blonde student. So I said it in a pretty sexy way, as sexy as I could. And the crazy thing about the following is, so I was supposed to have this whole additional scene. This happens all the time to people.
Yeah.
But there's supposed to be this big scene where I get murdered in the frat house by the killer, the serial killer. And it was very sexual. And I think I'm there in underwear and he comes in and I think he's coming to have sex with me. And then he murders me. But the coolest thing about it got canceled because there was a blizzard and whatever. But the props guy called me and he said, hey, I know this is weird. I'm going to need you to take a bunch of photos of her eyeballs. I was like, what? And he said, yeah, I need to know color description and a bunch of pictures with flash, without flash, and different lighting, different backgrounds. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. He said, when he kills you, he's going to scoop your eyeballs out and put them in a jar. So I had described, I said, oh, I have brown eyes. I don't know. This. Took a bunch of photos, sent it to him. And he said, you know what? You actually have hazel eyes. Bum, bum, bum. I didn't know that. And now he's walking around and there's a jar with my eyeballs in it somewhere, which is so exciting. I wish I had them.
Wow. Man,
Yeah.
that sucks that there was a blizzard. Because they did have that in the store. Everyone else died. Because
Yeah.
he does go to the.
He kills pretty much everybody.
Yeah. No, that show's awesome. That guy was so creepy. The guy that plays the professor.
Oh, James. He
Yeah.
was so wonderful
Yeah.
and so handsome and so kind. And Michael Ealy too was there on that day because we did a scene. And Michael Ealy's from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Is that close by where you grew up?
Kind of. It's near DC. It was south of me, but I was like, you're from Silver Spring. So that was cool.
That's awesome. It's just great being able to like see the interaction like with people that I talk to. Because I talked to a guy the other day. His name's Jerry Wasserman. He's been in like 197 things.
Yeah.
Nothing. He's 72. Teaching in Vancouver, a professor.
That's cool.
So whenever he gets a gig, he flies out. He hires somebody to teach his class for those few days. But he told me some cool things, like, because you got to think the big star, just the way they interact with like normal people, if that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to see how they act, and that's really cool to hear about him. And
Oh my
he's a
gosh.
great actor. He's a guy that when I saw him in that show, I'm like, why hasn't he been in a million things already?
Why isn't he a superstar?
Yeah.
Jared Wasserman. I'm, by the way, terrible with names. It's something I have to work out all the time. So I have to look this guy up now. That's so cool. Yeah, I don't think I ever had a bad experience with an actor, except I was a featured background for House of Cards really early on.
Oh, really? Okay.
And my God, Robin Wright is the most beautiful goddess ever to roam the earth. Well, one of them. And of course, she's in the movie with Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, who is also the most beautiful woman. Anyway, she was incredibly beautiful, the kindest, most wonderful. She said so many kind words to extras because it was freezing. And, you know, oh my God, she like bent over backwards to be so sweet. And then I had a scene with Kevin Spacey, who was standing right in front of me. I was just behind him in the shot. And not that he was a horrible person or anything. I'm sure he was wonderful, but he was so in character that he was a total douchebag on set.
Really?
In character, which is exactly what Frank Underwood is like.
Yeah.
Just not a nice guy, which obviously if you're method acting, and some people need to do that. I'm sure. I know Meryl Streep's done that. So I've heard. But yeah, he was scary. He was scary to be behind. He was kind of like snapping at people. He didn't say anything evil or nasty, but it was scary.
Yeah, it seems pretty hard to, especially when you're playing a character that's that like mean and diabolical. It'd be hard to be like, "Hey, so how you doing?" They're like, "Okay, action," and then you like,
yeah.
It's so hard, really, to do that, like to change speeds like that.
I'm sure if I had a role like that, I probably wouldn't be want to be left alone too. Or yeah, it'd be a little sassy. I'd warn people though. I'd say, "Listen, I'm a character. I'm probably not going to be nice today." But
that'd be great. Put like a warning out on your trailer.
Just have a little sign to hold, like every once in a while. It's like, "Sorry, I'm not being my best self." It's my character talking.
The last they end the shoot for the day, you're like, "Guys, I'm really sorry for anything I said over the last 8 hours."
No, it's true. I mean, even in little roles that I've done, my mom, she just, what does she say? Not that I bleed, the character bleeds into me or something like that. I don't know. It's a little more beautiful than the word bleed. But basically she says, every time the nicest role I ever played, according to my mom, was when I was playing Dorothy in Wizard of Oz. Because she's like, "You were so sweet. You came home. You were just so bubbly and lovely and friendly and helpful." And when I was playing the role of Roxy Hart in Chicago, she's like, "Yeah, you were sassy." It was not fun to be around. So, in that scale where Kevin Spacey was living, I'm sure
he was Roxy Hart.
He was
Robin Wright was Dorothy.
Yes. Yeah, but he had to be that way, I'm sure. That was the only interaction I've had with someone I was like, "Oh my goodness." Ooh, they're famous. I'm terrified.
Don't make eye contact.
Yeah, seriously.
Or don't mess up or cough or something.
Yeah. You'll
have a moment like with Christian Bale. I forgot what movie that was for, when he was like going nuts.
Oh, yeah, in the interview or something?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what movie was that?
I forgot. It's like a sound clip they use on like all the sports radio shows and stuff, like over and over again. But that's really funny.
Yeah, he's method for show.
So then one thing that you were in that was really cool. I couldn't find it online, but Birthday Girl.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's still cycling through festivals.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so the director doesn't want to release it, but that was so amazing.
It looked pretty creepy.
Yeah. is creepy. It's a thriller. It's really good. They I was just in Santa Fe a couple months ago for their film festival
Oh, cool.
where we showed it. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Is that fun? Like seeing people watch something that you're in, because you're the main person in that.
Yeah, it's honestly nerve-wracking because the hardest thing about it is there are scenes, and this is going to be true no matter what, and I have to get used to it, even for commercials, even for photos, for modeling, it's this way. But the director wants something a certain way, and in your mind, you visualize it a certain way, and you do the same scene, like, 5 different takes from different angles. Every take is going to be a little different. And occasionally the director says, okay, try that again, but don't put any emotion into it, or try it again and be really crazy. And if you've practiced it, or in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm going to do it this certain way. I feel like it's this way. The director might choose something that you didn't think was the best choice, which is, that's how this game is played. That's how the world is. But there are scenes in the movie that I was even surprised at. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that take because I didn't like it, because I felt strange saying it this way, but that's what the director wanted. And it's a great film. And I've gotten so much great feedback, which is amazing, and nominations, which is so humbling. But that's the scary thing, just showing people and hoping that they weren't thinking, why did you do it that way?
Yeah.
It's so silly, but yeah.
No, I know. It's got to be hard. You got to think, you got to kind of be in your own head, especially when you're like putting yourself out there, whether it be like paintings, art, like you're putting it out there. And then we know how I talked to Josh about it. I'm sure he mentioned it.
Josh.
Like when he was young, when he was an Ace Ventura Jr., it was the same time that the internet kind of exploded.
Oh, so terrible.
Yeah. And just at his age, like what people were saying online, he had very grounded parents, just like us chatting for like an hour.
Yeah.
So it's good that he had people like that in his life.
No, poor baby Josh.
People are terrible. So
critics, man.
Yeah. Just sometimes they're critics and some are just they're haters.
Haters. Yeah, it's true.
So how did Birthday Girl come about? Is that like an audition or? Yes,
I think I sent my own stuff in for that because I had seen this posting and it was written in such a way that I was like, this sounds really interesting. I think it might have been on Backstage, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Which things don't come on very often that are good on Backstage. But I said, hey, we are students. We're from Paris. We have this film. We want to film it in New York. And the director, Ray Leday, he wrote it and directed it. I guess they did a series of castings, auditions. And one of the people who auditioned was Martin Scorsese's daughter.
Really?
Yes. How wild is that? I was like, no way. But apparently so. I guess so. I think she's on a trajectory to be an actress in New York, which is so cool.
That is really neat.
Yeah, but I auditioned, I think I came in 2 or 3 times for them. And the phone booth scene, which is on my reel where I'm just like screaming. Yeah. I had nothing holding me back for this audition because it wasn't through my agency. So I felt very free. I was like, I put myself out for this. I'm just going to go nuts. I'm going to go nutso. And if I don't get this, it's fine. But if I get it, this will be awesome. And I'm just going to give him everything I have and leave it at the door. And I did. He was like, that was one of the greatest auditions I've ever seen. There's all these French guys. And I speak really small amount of French. So occasionally I'd understand every few words they said. So that was so exciting.
Was it filmed in the city?
It was filmed, oh gosh, I'm sure I can talk about it now. But it was filmed in this diner in Queens.
Oh, really? Okay.
That was the most terrible place we've ever been. The owner was lovely, the son, but his mother, I guess, who had recently given this restaurant to her son, came for every shot. She sat in the back. She was racist. She was xenophobic. She was the most horrible woman. And the restaurant was literally falling apart. So it was raining. Oh my gosh, it was raining so much. And one day, it just was this, which was great for the film. But one day, they had this tank of lobsters, okay, in the entrance of a diner where every type of food was sold. So there's no, I don't even know what they were if they were like a Greek diner, I don't know. But they had a tank of poor lobsters that were just suffering right at the entrance of this like 1950s looking diner. It was really weird. And it had been raining so much that during the shoot, the ceiling tiles you could just see just started swelling and exploded over the tank of lobsters. And we felt and the lobsters I think were okay, but oh my God, it was terrible. And there was so much, it was just really filthy, and they had grade pending, but I think I looked it up afterwards. They got the worst health food grade. I think they had to be shut down.
Oh, it was perfect for the scene because you wanted it to be creepy.
Oh, it was perfect. It was perfect for the film, but they had it in the contract that we would be catered, the restaurant would cater, and all of us were so itchy about it that we most of the time ended up just bringing our own food. Yes. Ooh.
Oh man. And there was a phone booth outside there?
They rented that actually.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
yeah.
You really don't see them.
Oh no, that would have been crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And then I don't know do you update your own IMDb?
I do.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure most people do.
No, I interviewed a guy yesterday. He played Death in Bill and Ted.
Cool.
Yeah, William Sadler. He was a super nice guy. And yeah, he was really awesome. But no, he was like, I don't even know how to go on there. So I was telling him some of the roles that he was in.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I didn't do that year. I did it this other year. And he's like, I got to figure out how to go on that IMDb.
Yeah, you can just request a change.
Yeah.
I know people can add. So directors have added me and said like, oh, Anna was in this production. But
okay.
If you become an IMDb Pro member, you can edit your photos, your biography, all that, which I'd rather do because I don't want someone to write something horrible and untrue about me.
Anyways, I see on here, so there's a couple movies that are coming up. So
yeah.
The Woman in the Window.
Yes. Did you hear the news though?
That was awesome. What?
The news, so Disney bought Fox. So they're pushing the production back to 2020. It's supposed to come out this October.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they might do some reshoot. They are doing reshoots, but I'm kind of hoping they reshoot my scene so I can try some different things, or I don't know, because it just could be fun. But I don't know. I hope they don't recast.
Oh, you think they would? Oh, really?
I have no idea. I don't know what that means. The news just said they're reshooting and they're changing some stuff because they showed it to an advanced select audience who apparently didn't understand the film, which is the silliest thing I've ever heard because it's a thriller and the script was so good reading it. I don't know how you couldn't follow that. So,
well, that's the problem with just from like some people I've chatted with and just like watching movies and you hear these horror stories about how much they change. Yeah. I don't know. Do you remember the movie Disturbing Behavior with Katie Holmes and
no,
like an 98 movie about like these like creatures taking over, not like creatures, but some kind of like alien-ish taking over these students in high school.
Oh,
so anyway, he's in it. I love watching that movie growing up. William Sadler was in it. I asked him about it. He's like, and he plays like this really creepy janitor. And he goes, yeah, so the movie was like an hour and 40 minutes. And they did a test audience. And the guy that directed it, I think his name's James Nutter. He's like a big time TV director, producer. And he said when they got done with it, it was like 114 minutes. They basically like took out a bunch of the backstory. So the movie, of course, bombed. But they went based on one test audience.
No.
Which is horrible.
My favorite movie of all time is Legend, and that's why they have an American release and this like extended edition director's cut. It's by Ridley Scott, but
Oh, okay.
The original's so much longer. It's a completely different soundtrack, all these different scenes, because the test audience apparently was a bunch of young, it was in the 80s too,
Yeah.
or in the 80s. They were a bunch of high teenagers who said, it's too long. We need it. The soundtrack's too boring. It's too classical. It's too magical. So they cut it and put it to Tangerine Dream, which is also amazing. But
it's just crazy how they can do that. They put like how many months of work in like the hands of like how many people do they really even chat with? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder how Joe Wright is feeling about it, and Amy Adams and Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman. He's one of my favorite actors.
Who were you able to? Because I don't want you to obviously talk too much about it, but because I don't want to get you in trouble if that's a thing. But
yeah,
who were you able to work with? Like, who did you have scenes with?
I hung out with Amy Adams.
Really?
Yeah, she's so wonderful.
She's awesome.
And I have to say, she did have scenes. If you know the book, there are very emotional, intense. She's a very intense character. Amy Adams, when she got off that set, was just the most angelic, sweetest, kindest, most lovely, wonderful person. She was like her character from Enchanted. She's so wonderful. And she took, she spent time asking me how I was, about growing up. We both came from military families. So like, it was so much fun.
It's so awesome. Yeah, she's great. I think
amazing.
On The Office, like when she was like younger, and then she's just like in Big Eyes, and then she was just on that series. I can't think of it, on HBO.
Sharp Objects.
Yeah, and she's just like every role she's in, she crushes it.
She does.
Super
The Arrival. The Arrival was so good. I love that movie.
Yeah, and then she was just in the Christian Bale, the one about. Yeah. So like she does it all. That's so cool that you're able to work with her.
It was so cool, and I got to have a Boston accent.
Oh, nice.
For the part. So we talked about that because she's like, "Oh, those are really hard." She had one for the FIDA.
Oh yeah,
the FIDA. So yeah, it was so fun. And when I got on set, Joe Wright thought that was my regular voice. And I was like, would you like me to do this accent or not? And he's like, what? Do it. Yes. What? So
how'd you learn the accent? Just by like listening to stuff, or?
Yeah. My brother lives in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
So I visited a few times, and I love accents. It's such a fun game for me to try to learn. It's like learning a language, learning the dialects. And, I love it so much. So I practiced that. I've practiced that before. And oh my gosh. So for this audition, I had no idea what this was because it was very top secret.
Yeah.
And they just said, do this. Here's a scene. Do it once with a straight accent. Do it once with a Boston accent. So I'm just looking over it and practicing. And my husband got home, and then I got another email. And I read into this email, and I had all these things like to sign. It was like Fox, sign here for, this non-disclosure agreement. I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. And then my husband, who was going to read it with me, he looked it up. He's like, oh my God, Anna, this is for this movie. This is for Woman in the Window with Amy Adams. I was like, what? So, yeah, that turned into a really wildly insane audition process for me at home because I had to get it in that night. And at this point, it was like 8:00. I was like, oh my God, I have to make this sound really good. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. How long was the shoot?
I was only there for a day.
Oh, okay.
On set, yeah. But it's cool. I got a principal role. I played Gary Oldman's assistant.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How was he?
I didn't get to meet him.
Oh, okay. It was just Amy Adams that day?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I hope I get to meet him. He is probably my favorite actor.
He's another one that's like up there as like such a great bad guy.
He's so good at everything.
I know.
And he's such a chameleon. I've seen so many movies where I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah.
which always shocked me. He's awesome.
Yeah. And then another one that's on here, there's not much on it, but Summer of Hope.
I don't think that's ever going to be filmed, sadly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was something I worked on in Maryland before I came to New York.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's an amazing script, but they just couldn't get funding for it. So we'd filmed a trailer. Yeah. I think they wrote on Backstage it had been filmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it says like filming complete, but we didn't even start.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it has on there.
Yeah.
It says on here. Complete it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It said that, yeah. So you guys filmed the trailer, and then in order to try to get funding, you have like a little bit something to show people.
Yeah, I just don't think they had much momentum, which is a shame because it really was. It was a beautiful script. That would have been so much fun. I hope something happens.
Well, when you're Amy Adams or Robin Wright, you can be like, you know what? There's this movie I wanted to do.
It was so cool.
Back in my early days.
Yes.
So how does the one thing you're the first person I was able to chat with that's like commercial work.
Yeah.
How does that how is that process?
It's fun. It's fast. Commercials are really fun. If you have a naturally bubbly, smiley personality and disposition, people will want to cast you, which is great. Literally, you just have to be yourself.
Yeah.
And think like, I'm selling toothpaste. It's great. I love commercial work. Now that I'm SAG, though, things have changed because most commercials are non-union in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But that's so much fun. And modeling, print modeling goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah, I liked it's cool that you have the reels on there so you can like see a bunch of them. Like the Nick and Night one was really funny.
Yes, I love that one.
Blue Buffalo, and then one was in another language. I was like, was that tequila or
no? That is a French. It is a French dating service. It's like what is that called? Match.com.
Yeah,
it's like Match.com. It's called Meetic.
I know. That's why I wrote it as a question. What is Meetic? Because right afterwards, it's like the guy's looking at you, and then they show the glasses. They were the same height, so I'm like, is that an alcohol? I couldn't tell.
Yes, that's a good question. It is French. They cast it out of New York, and they filmed in Barcelona, Spain for a French commercial.
Oh, okay.
So Josh Schubart, who is my partner in that commercial, he's the guy. They flew the two of us, along with a few other people, to Barcelona. Josh and I had an entire week there.
Whoa.
And we only had to shoot for one day. And we just got to hang out, get to know each other. He's so wonderful. And he's been on The Tick. He plays one of the bad guys in The Tick.
No way.
Yeah, Frank, the guy, he ends up having a scar. Do you remember this?
Yeah. No, I watched The Tick. He's the guy that works with, what's her name?
The Static, yeah.
Yeah, the Static lady.
Yes.
No way.
That's Josh.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he actually just he wrote an amazing series called After. And he's been sending it out to people. He's so talented. Oh my goodness.
That's so cool.
Yeah, great guy.
World.
I know.
And then, so you mentioned before that you're married. Were you married before or after the wedding commercial that you were in?
Oh my gosh, it was just like 2 weeks before.
No way.
Yes, and that's him.
Oh, really?
That's my
cool.
husband, yeah. Yeah.
You were like, hey, I'm getting married. This is my husband. And they let you use that or?
So they said the casting director of that was Ken Laser. And he said, please come in. Oh, and I'd posted a photo because I'd just gotten some photos for my wedding. And I think on my profile, there was a picture of Andrew and I. And he said, hey, is this your husband or your partner? And I was like, yeah, it is. He's like, bring him in for this casting. So Andrew is sweating bullets. He was so nervous. He took a lunch break. Yeah. And it was so much fun. And bananas because I think we were one of the first ones to audition and we were an actual couple.
Yeah.
And everyone else was just paired up. And the casting director, who's a great Ken Laser, he had us show, we were like the test auditioners. So he had us go through the motions, and then he brought everyone else in to watch us kiss and stuff. And it was just hilarious. But we ended up getting it. We're so excited.
That's good, especially that they used you as the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was great. It was good for Andrew too, I think.
Did you like it?
He did. It was so much fun because you had to get like your manicure on set, and someone's doing your hair. He hadn't been through that, so he was like, oh, he liked the life.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else I know you went on an audition last week?
Yeah, I've been. It's been really busy.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know why since the 4th of July, but I just auditioned for a feature film and a short, and then some commercials and voiceovers. Today I was doing another voiceover for an airline.
Oh, nice.
It was fun because I had to sound exactly like a clip.
Oh, so you listen to it and you're good at doing that.
Mimic this person exactly. So whose tone was much deeper than mine, and she had a very flat affect. So that was so much fun. I love those. Yeah, those are really fun.
You seem like you have a lot of fun doing it, which is so good.
I do. Can you tell? I'm like, oh.
I know.
I said fun every 5 words, I think.
Well, that's kind of what you have. That's kind of attitude you have to have.
Yeah.
You know, while you're doing this, because it's not like it's the easiest process,
No, it really is challenging. And I know if I hadn't have had like my schooling and this whole medical trajectory situation, if I had just come straight from school or from high school even, I would not be as strong as I am now.
Yeah.
To face all that rejection, because it can really tear you apart. I've seen it in the audition room, and I've experienced it too on a bad day. Just been like, oh, why did I do that with my hair? Like, why didn't I blink on that moment? Or I should have breathed in this spot. Which is so silly because, especially for commercials, they're really just looking for a look. If you can sell products, yeah, and if you look like what they want. So it has nothing to do with you. Film is different, though.
Yeah.
Film and TV, they usually cast based on who you are. So that's...
Well, that's cool that you have that movie. So hopefully that stays good. And then Birthday Girl, like once that's able to get released, and that'd be cool.
Excited.
Have you auditioned yet for any roles like in the medical, like since you have that kind of background?
I had one role but it was sad because it was incorrect medical terminology. It actually didn't make sense. I can't remember. It might have been for Blacklist, but it was a nurse. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. And I did it. It was fun. But one, I'm very young looking. I look much younger than I am. And two, I don't look necessarily like a doctor. Oh, I think it was a doctor, yeah, not a nurse. Because stereotypically, a doctor is like an older, tough-looking, usually a man or a woman. But my sister in real life is a doctor. She's such a badass, little blonde. Pew pew pew. She's so awesome.
So you remember what they said wrong that you're like, this isn't. But you're probably like, I'm not gonna say what this terminology is.
It was something like, I don't know if I can remember. It was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was something that it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, is this a thing? That's in my sister. She's like, there's no way that that's a thing. It was something about veins. It's hilarious that they don't ask about that stuff. They just.
Yeah, there's a lot of like watching a lot of TV. Like there's a lot of times you're like, why didn't you just like research it? Or even like, especially on like social media, like these news places put out like headlines. It's like, dude, that's not the right word. That's not the spelling.
Yeah. Come on,
get with it.
Speaking of hilarious social media, have you been watching the Area 51?
Oh, all of that? Yeah, it's insane.
How funny is that?
I don't know if it's funny or just sad.
It's both. But
And now
it's
the government has to like issue something today that like don't do it. And yeah.
no. Yeah, I look forward to that day. Just because, oh, well, hopefully nothing bad happens. But I just think it's so funny that people are even pretending that they should go.
Yeah, I know. And then nobody's gonna be like, oh, I can't get off work. I
Oh,
can't
course.
make it.
Yeah, they're all going to be like, oh no, I forgot it was today. Oh, my phone was wrong. They blame it on the blackout.
Yeah. And so before I let you go, one thing that I've seen you in before is I think I've seen you in, are all those TV commercials or any of those like internet, like the Chase and the
Yeah,
Blue Buffalo?
yeah, they're
TV?
both, I think.
That's awesome.
Wait, you've
Uh,
seen them?
I've seen them before, but I've seen the one thing I did see way before was Jamie sent it to me. I'm like, I've seen this before. And I didn't even realize when he sent it to me that it was for, it's like in reference to you. And I'm like, oh, I've seen the Gilbert Gottfried Comedy Central.
Oh, yeah. That was so much fun. For Comedy Central, that was
I
hilarious.
bet.
Oh my gosh, they are so great.
Yeah, you know what? They're really doing something different. Like some of the sketches that they do, like that one, are
Yeah.
like totally different.
Yeah.
They have people that are up and coming that you don't know, so you're not associating them with something else.
Mhm.
There's some other sketches that I've seen the last like few months. They're some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen.
So good. They've been doing such a great job. And now I'm just glad because I know a lot of the people that I worked with are also involved in the comedy scene here. So they were obviously, but I've run into them at the Pit or at like an improv show, which has been so exciting. And we always talk that we should do something together again, which is so fun. I hope we do.
No, that's cool that you do improv. Improv's awesome.
Yeah. Improv's the
One of those things, like I said this to Josh, and it's funny, like improv, like I'm sure a lot of the actors that you've worked with, they've probably done it before. Because the first like 3 or 4 people I interviewed, they're like, yeah, I have an improv background. I have an improv background. But some TV shows, like for Curb Your Enthusiasm, I interviewed 2 guys that were on that. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you go into the audition and it's like, here's a piece of paper that really just says this scene is about blank.
Mhm.
And then you're just like, just going back and forth. So
Yeah.
it's just a good thing to have, even for like going to the interviews, being able to like go back and forth
Absolutely.
with people.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet that you and Josh do that together.
It is. I love Josh. Yeah, it's definitely helped with my auditions and also with just real life
Oh yeah.
interactions with people because it's an exercise in thinking fast. So yeah, I think everyone should do improv.
No, I think they should. I'm sure the Pit does it, but a lot of those, I took improv classes in Portland, and they would do like these business
Yeah.
improv things.
Did those
Have you done any of those?
No, I mean,
Like gone there? Oh, okay.
but actually, Andrew, my husband did
Oh, really?
intro to improv. I think it was a business
That's cool.
weekend class. Yeah, they're awesome.
Do you teach at all?
I don't yet. I was thinking about that. It's so funny you said that. Yeah. I don't know. I think that could be fun. It's so busy right now.
No, I bet. Yeah.
I wonder when would be a good time, but there's never a good time. You should just do it.
Yeah. You and Josh do like a tag team Saturday 2-hour intensive one of those.
Oh my gosh. It would be a riot. We'd have the best time. That's what our show, Manic Attack Variety Hour, has all this audience participation,
Sweet.
all these moments where people can get involved during the show. So it is kind of like a lesson. And we don't just do straight improv. We do musical improv, sketch. Yeah. So we do it all. So it sort of is like teaching, I guess.
Yeah. Sweet. No, thank you for taking the time.
Oh my gosh. Of course. This was so much fun.
All right, wasn't she great? She was so funny. She had such a positive attitude. You just like root for somebody like that. And I really think she's going to do a lot of things. Like, who am I to say anything? I'm just some guy from Jersey that has a podcast. But no, I'm rooting for her. She's really cool. And you can follow her on Instagram. It's annacameron.nyc. I'll put the link to that in the episode notes. All right, so your homework still, you got to watch Death Wish 3. It's free on Amazon Prime. So watch it. We did our first ever video podcast. So you'll be able to download it just like you're listening to this one. Unless you're watching this on YouTube, then that's how you found it. But yeah, so you can either listen just the audio version, which is so cool. We appreciate that. Or you can go on YouTube and find the video version. Our guest this week, Andrew Powers, I knew him growing up and he wanted to come on, and oh my God, he did not disappoint. He showed up in costume, which is so epic. So yeah, you're going to enjoy that. Great movie starring Charles Bronson. And don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And also, don't forget, check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.